Welcome back, everyone. Our next speaker is Maxim. He is a super mentor in engineering. Now he will give a talk about an alternative view on an OpenAPI documentation. You can ask your questions in Discord channel of this room. Let's welcome Maxim.
Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to do this talk. And right now, I offer you to throw the opposite glance on the OpenAPI documentation. Who I am? I am, sorry, what happens here? Who I am? I'm Maxim Danilov. I'm more than 26 years in commercial software development, and 9 years I worked with Python and Django, and around 6 years I am also involved in work with different JavaScript frameworks, and also I got them multiple times. I won multiple times awards like a super mentor in engineering. All links to slides you can find there by QR code. And before I start, I want to say special thanks for my family for support, to my wife Elena, to my children Mark and Maya, and thank you for my animals Marcel and Kisa. And also, I want to say special thanks to my daughter Maya. Thank you, Maya, because she created all illustration for my presentation in last year. Thank you, Maya. And right now we go to our documentation. OpenAPI specification. What is it? This is a document which describes how I should create interface description for all our APIs. Of course, OpenAPI specification is not the last or not only once. We have alternatives like API blueprint. We create documentation in Markdown format. Also, we can use RAML standards. We write our documentation in YAML format, and OpenAPI itself, we write documentation in YAML format. All ideas which I described further, you can apply to any specification arts, but I speak directly in this talk only about OpenAPI. And why we need it? Documentation of expected behavior of our APIs is important because it's like a contract. We can use this contract, this document, to auto-generate code further. We can create, according to this document, clients, we can create servers, we can create models. After, we can use this document, we should use this document in test-driven development if you use it in your company. And also we use this document in tests. And also this document allows us to work independently. If I have different teams who work with front-end and with back-end, these teams can use these documents like a source of truth for requests and for response. And if we go to the OpenAPI website, we can see the motto. Properly defined OpenAPI specification allows both humans and computers to discover how to interact with remote server. And I select special words, humans, computers, and properly defined, because there is the problem in this sentence. At first glance, human-readable OpenAPI YAML, in my opinion, is completely not human-readable. Okay, it's readable, but really not understandable. And for that, I should use additional tools, visualization tools like Swagger. Of course, in this form, which we see on the right side, of course, it seems more understandable. Instead of Swagger, we can also use Redoc. Who use Redoc, for example, here? And mostly use Swagger probably, right? Who is Swagger? Yeah. In this case, this is only visualization tool, which solves one problem, readability, but OpenAPI specification has also other problem. At first, it's a formal standard for describing APIs. Formal standard means you can follow this standard or you can avoid to follow this standard. And I work with different projects, and I see many projects not keep this standard for description, API description, and this is a problem. The next problem is different standards. Because we have OpenAPI specification version 2, OpenAPI specification version 3, 3.1, and 4 months ago, we also received a new version of specification with new name, Arazzo. And I only can remember this meme. OpenAPI has 4 standards, and somebody from community OpenAPI say, 4 standards, we need one universal standard which covers all use cases. Yeah, we should create it. And we have the new standard, and we have 5 standards of OpenAPI specification, finally. And the last problem, which I not cover, but it's always exist, automatically generated OpenAPI YAML file never fully correct according to chosen OpenAPI specification. Never. I have never seen the fully corrected YAML file. Okay, probably I have seen not too much. And we are on the Python conference. That's why let's ask, what Python offer us to work with this documentation? Python and OpenAPI, this is 2 friends, and we have a Swagger editor. This is visual YAML editor, which help us to create YAML file documentation from scratch. Cool tool, please use it. After that, we have OpenAPI tools, Genius tools, which help me to create Python code from YAML file. It's easy, it's fun. I download some specification from PayPal API, and I can create the client which can connect to PayPal directly. It not works, but I can create it. Swagger user interface and Redoc, this help us to transform YAML file to deliver YAML file to human. We can add visualization, and for example, tools like Connexion. This is paradigm like codeless server, which simply use YAML like a documentation, and after that, Connexion created for me, for example, server which already works. Incredible. I like this technology. But how about Python code to YAML? For example, I have already existed project, and I want to get documentation for existed project. In this case, based on Python code, YAML document generated on server start can be refreshed later or by demand with special command. In any frameworks which I have seen in Python, they use predefined objects, annotations. For example, in FastAPI Light Start, I should use annotation in function, which later used to auto-generate OpenAPI specification. In Django, Django REST framework, Django Ninja, Yask, Spectacular, we use predefined attributes by classes and functions. And also, if I want to modify the schema, which will be later rendered in YAML, I should additionally use different decorators for function, special function like a get OpenAPI from FastAPI. I should use special classes only to define schema, which later will be rendered in YAML. Somebody has problem to define manually schema and meet obstacles because it was really complex. Somebody knows this problem or not? Yeah. It's not too much, but somebody understands what I mean. And sometimes we use also doc strings to extend OpenAPI documentation YAML file. And for me, if I want to say shortly, it seems like a monster which later rendered in YAML. And it's really hard to work with that. It's really hard to extend and set up schema object which will be later rendered. And right now I show you really example which exists since 2014. We have one real project. This is big Django messy monolith with 400 entry points. Some entry points wrapped in micro Django services. About micro Django services, I have one poster in mine hall, and after this talk, I should make a poster talk. And Django REST framework in this project, it seems like not too hard, but later in this project appears Django Ninja. It means some endpoints realized with Django Ninja. And later, not later, in between, it was some entry points realized on Flask, some entry points, many entry points realized on FastAPI. And after Starlight appears, some entry points was realized on LighterStar. LighterStar is new name of Starlight, and also in this messy monolith used some entry points on AWS Lambda and 2 entry points used Google Cloud Computing. And what if I want to create this? I want to create one normal document which document all APIs for this project, which really exist. What I should invent? In reality, it was a small horror, and let's see how I solve it or how I offer you to solve it in your project. If we throw a glance on the global infrastructure, we have URL routing table, which right now placed on the, previously it was in Nginx, right now it's placed in Amazon. And one route goes to the YAML composer, which wrapped in Swagger UI for visualization. And after that, all requests goes on different cloud services or self-hosted services, and every service offers us one interface which provide by demand for us YAML file directly for this one service. And how it works? If I want to get one YAML from whole infrastructure from whole project, I request this YAML file from YAML composer, and YAML composer send request for different services and collect YAMLs together, and after that, simply every YAML file merged in one YAML file. We need only, if we start to see how it's organized, it's only 2 lines of code. We use for YAML composer Spectacular, based on Django, and only 2 lines of code simply collect YAML files according to the root table, and after that we use always merge from deep merge library, and after that we render with YAML in one file. Of course, here we have a big problem. If we have in different services this model with the same name, the last model override previous models with the same name. In this case, please don't forget to add prefix accordingly to service. In this case, every model will be presented in generated huge YAML file. In reality, it's more than 20,000 lines YAML file. It's huge. And let's see further. We have YAML composer from different services, and let's go deeper in self-hosted, in one service. If we go deeper, we can see one service has the root table or root collection, the special root organized for us service from YAML composer, and we have single endpoints in this service. And interesting is, right now, Django or Flask or FastAPI offer us those type of YAML generation. Every endpoint feed special object schema, which later with method render generate for us YAML file. But some endpoints cannot do anything. For these endpoints, we should have static YAML file, which later will be merged with YAML composer, which wrapped in Swagger user interface. And after that, this YAML file will be sent by demand. And my opinion, it's completely wrong. I think these two elements in this schema, which existed in many objects, should be removed. And this is my opposite view for generation OpenAPI documentation. And what I offer you to remove it, and I offer you to create special interface in every single endpoint, which generate for us YAML file only for this single entry point. Let's see how it works. We go deeper in one single entry point, and what we see, every entry point has method dispatcher, which check request method and calls accordingly the handler for method. For example, method post handler, method patch handler, and also we have method options. And what is method options? Method options in request, we should provide options for given URL. Request should come without body, but response may has body. And it's safe and dependent, not cacheable, not allow it in HTML forms, but we don't need it. And I offer you to use or to extend options method, handler for options method, to generate YAML file. And how it works, for example, in FastAPI. In FastAPI, again, it's simply if content type, asked content type contains YAML, I send answer with, for example, static file. It's easy, and this static file contains only documentation about these endpoints, about these handlers in single endpoint. And it's easy to do. Again, only 2 lines of code. But what about automatically generation? It's also able. I can, sorry? Yeah, genau. I can generate YAML file for every method handler. I can put this YAML file directly in docstrings. It seems ugly, but it works really easy. A single YAML file only which describes, for example, behavior of post handler. And again, it's only 2 lines of code. We go through all allowed methods in this entry point, and we collect YAMLs from docstrings, we merge it, and we throw it away for request method options in body. But for my opinion, to put directly YAML file in docstrings, it seems not too usable. My opinion, we should use docstrings for dynamic generated YAML, and every docstring should be written in usual format. In restructured text, how it's recommended by PEP, it can be API text or JavaDoc style. It can be Google docstring style. I like, probably this is my favorite style of docstrings, or NumPy docs, also not too bad. We put this docstring, it's normal, because if somebody uses Sphinx for documentation generation, who uses Sphinx? Yeah, it means it already works for you, this suggestion. And we use normal docstrings. Advantages of docstrings in usual form, we can use it also for Sphinx. We can use it with Sphinx plugin Autodocs or Sphinx AutoAPI. Also, PyDocLint offer me to check errors if I forget something to update in docstrings. And my favorite things, docstrings collapsible. And for example, types or decorators is not collapsible in my IDE. And Pinkie Pie and Applejack also agree we should use docstrings in normal form. And right now, if I throw a global overview on YAML generation pipeline in company, you can see we have on entry a routing table, and one route offers us to go to YAML generator. And YAML generator goes deeper in every service and asks route from YAML generator from a single service. And single service goes through all endpoints and calls method request with method options and collect YAMLs only only from every endpoint. And it works. It's scalable. Important is you can see the schema is duplicate itself, and in this case, YAML generator, the code from YAML generator, you can reuse code from YAML generator. And this is really funny and interesting, and we avoid this fight with different setup in FastAPI or in Django REST framework and with Django Spectacular. It's easy, and if I collect some summary, in my talk I offer you to think about OpenAPI documentation. It's important, it's used for different goals. There existed OpenAPI YAML generator or generators or process to generate a standard automatically generated YAML. This process is pretty complex, and I offer you to make it easier. Unified way to collect YAML files on each level can reduce complexity, can help you to reuse code from YAML generator, and options method can be used to generate documentation only for one single entry point or endpoint. It's really easy for developers after send option and get YAML file only for this entry point. I like it because previously I should download whole YAML file and select something. And at last, if we use standard doc strings, we use it not only for documentation, also we use it to generate YAML file. And doc strings linters can also help us to be better with YAML file generation. I wish you happy with your documentation. All code you can find, all slides you can find by this link. And yeah, right now I'm open for your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this presentation. If you have any question, you can move to microphone. Also, you can ask in the Discord channel.
Yes, I have a question. I saw that you had that YAML composer for that was after the route 53. So the master YAML composer kind of is. I guess that's also running in a separate service, right? Or is it?
Exactly. Right now, YAML composer, which use a router table, it works like standalone service.
Yeah, indeed. That only does that kind of thing, or does it do more things than that?
Once more?
Does it do only that kind of thing, or does it more things than only that?
In this case, we reuse server to generate YAML from different services, and the same service we use to generate YAML file from different entry points. And in this case, this server should be tested, but we test it only one time for multiple goals, if I correctly understand your question. Sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, welcome.
My question would be that if you have an endpoint which support underpass like /user, /bob, /user, /alice, then a handler which is responsible for /users and the subpass, how the docstring should handle this. So if the pass is multiple, but the endpoint has one single docstring. Docstring should have some structure to indicate multiple paths, or how do you overcome this issue?
Every endpoint for us, for example, we have users dot number 2 or users number 3. This is a long way, different parts of URL, but YAML file generated for us standard documentation for this route. And somewhere you should have one handler. This handler has, for example, post or patch or delete, and also option. It's standard. And this option generate for any handler documentation. We should put documentation in handlers for request methods. If I right understand what you ask. Or probably you can ask me later personally. We can use it. Please.
Hi. Thanks for the talk. I got two quick questions. I think. The first one is, since you're compiling every YAML from each endpoint, how do you handle models that are present in multiple endpoints? Because one of the plus of OpenAI is OpenAPI. Sorry, is that you can reference models, do it once, and have it multiple version of the same model will have impact on server generation or code side generation. How would you handle that?
In this case, we generate models from current project, and I already marked. If you use the other version of this model in any other entry point, you should use for a model name in YAML file some prefix. Other case, this model should be squashed together.
So if you got a model that is using two different endpoints, and the result in the YAML will be only one reference?
if you have one model, the same model with the same name, you have only one model. But if there are different models with the same name, you should prefix it names, and you should have two models.
All right, thank you. And if I can, a quick second question. You talk about using HTTP options, and I think it's a great idea, but in the end, option is not super used, but it's still used, like for example, to handle course or stuff like that. Don't you think doing that the way you described have an impact?
Yeah, answer is still, the question is still open. Yeah. Right now, I speak only about description for standard HTTPS methods. For example, WebSockets. For documentation WebSockets, we should provide generation of static YAML file, and after that compile this file on the higher level of YAML generation, like a static file from one service. It means without static files, it not works. Okay. Some services can provide only static YAML file, which you should change manually.
Thank you, and thank you for your
All right. Thank you so much for your participation and questions. Thank you so much for your presentation. Now it is lunchtime. Also, poster presentations you can find in exhibition hall. Also, you can find Maxim there because he can also be in exhibition hall. Okay, thanks so much for everything. So accept this small gift from us.
Thank you.